Hello, YouTube! Today is June 24, 2025, right? Tuesday, right? So, couple of things I wanted to talk about since the last time we met up, right? But before we get into that, don't forget to get my likes up, guys. Get my likes up. YouTube world, get my likes up. I know y'all looking. Get my views up. Thank you very much. I appreciate it because, listen, us small-time content creators, we work very hard, okay? To compile the information together, to develop the courage to come present it to you guys, to bring the news to the masses, right? So thank you guys. We appreciate the love and support, okay? Right? Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to share the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the video. Click on that bell, right? Click on that bell, guys, right? Click on them thumbs up, guys. Click on the thumbs up. Get them likes up. Guys, I appreciate all donations, right? All voluntary donations. You guys can send it to the link down in the description box below, right? But thank you so much, guys, because every penny counts. Every penny helps, okay? You guys are helping a disabled military vet, all right? So I appreciate you guys doing that too, right? Allegedly, fair use, and all that good legal jazz that YouTube loves and likes and appreciates, right, guys? Making sure I get all the things that I needed to get, all the details that I needed to get out to you guys. So don't mind me. I'll be looking at my notepad. Excuse me. I'm tongue-tied today, right, guys? I'll be looking at my notepad, right, to make sure I don't forget the things that I wanted to talk about with you guys. So here we go. Boom, right? So there was an article I was reading, right, titled Texas GOP Governor Wants to Legalize Recreational Marijuana, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick claims, right? Because in Texas, right, they have a victory. SB 3 got vetoed. Shout out to Governor Greg Abbott. Again, shout out to Governor Greg Abbott, who listened to his voter base, right? He's a smart businessman. He made the best decision he could make. He vetoed Senate Bill 3, okay? Because Senate Bill 3, allegedly, and fair use, Senate Bill 3 was going to get rid of an estimate of $5 billion. Guys, listen to me. $5 billion, guys, was going to walk out the door. Okay? The state of Texas allegedly was going to lose $5 billion. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if the state of Texas allegedly loses $5 billion walking out the door? Bye-bye. Se fue. It went. Left. Right? 53,000 jobs were going to leave the state of Texas. That's a lot of jobs. Okay? Governor Greg Abbott woke up. Bling, 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 bling. The light bulb, it clicked. Allegedly. Fair use, it clicked, right? He thought to himself, yo, I can't let that happen. I can't let all those jobs get out that door. I don't know what Dan Patrick's trying to do. Allegedly, what he's trying to do. He's trying to mess up the money? He's trying to make sure that the state of Texas loses money? No. Allegedly, right? No. We don't want that. He didn't want that. Governor Greg Abbott didn't want that. So shout out to Greg Abbott. Okay? Thank you, sir. Thank you for listening to your voter base. Thank you for being a smart businessman. Thank you for keeping the money in the state of Texas. That's the most important thing. Keep the money in the state of Texas. Hello? Dan Patrick, wake up. Wake up. Senator Charles Perry, wake up. Senator Ted Cruz, wake up, bro. All of y'all are sleeping. The only one that was awake was Governor Greg Abbott. So thank you, Governor Greg Abbott, right? And this article was written to you by Kyle Jager, right? On X, formerly known as Twitter, right? So let's get into it. But guys, get my likes up, guys. Click on the thumbs up. Click on that bell so you can subscribe to the video, subscribe to the channel, share the content. Guys, spread the word. Let them know that this Puerto Rican right here is bringing you the news to the masses. Okay? Por la masa. Right? All right, so let's get back into it, right? All right, so fair use, allegedly fair use, right? So the Texas of governor, excuse me, tongue twister. The governor of Texas, the governor of Texas wants to legalize recreational marijuana. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said, allegedly, he implies that Governor Greg Abbott, his boss, by the way, who's his boss, lied about his motivations, right, for blocking the prohibition and recommending an alternative regulatory framework instead, right? Fair use and allegedly, right? Allegedly, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, right, held a press conference after Governor Greg Abbott vetoed Senate Bill 3, known as SB 3, sharply criticizing his boss. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick accused Governor Greg Abbott of wanting to legalize adult use cannabis because he rejected the hemp bill legislation, allegedly, right? He didn't want to ban it. There goes the YouTube lawyers out there letting me know, allegedly and fair use, right? Allegedly and fair use, okay? All right? All that good legal oosh-gosh magwash, right? Back to Dan Patrick, right? So Dan Patrick said, quote unquote, it puzzles me, okay? That's how he started his comment. It puzzles me, right? Why my friend, the governor of the state of Texas, Greg Abbott, why my friend, right, would at the last minute, right, at 22 minutes after 11 o'clock p.m. Central Time, decide to veto this bill, this big, beautiful bill. He almost sounds like his commander-in-chief, right? Quote, I know he gave the reasons in his proclamation, but our team simply doesn't agree with those reasons. Quote unquote, fair use. Allegedly, Dan Patrick said, quote unquote, one can only come to this conclusion, which surprises me. He said, which surprises me. The governor of the state of Texas wants to legalize recreational marijuana in Texas. I'm convinced, guys. I'm convinced. That's what Dan Patrick was saying, right? In the speech. He said, quote unquote, that's the headline, guys. Right? Get my likes up, guys. Ring the bell. Click the bell. Right? Share the video, right? Quote unquote. Dan Patrick also said that's because what his proclamation now says, whether unintentional, and he didn't think it through, whether it's intentional, that's the result. Okay? That's the result. Quote unquote, again, what Governor Abbott proposes is for us to legalize marijuana in Texas by regulating it, quote unquote, Dan Patrick said, allegedly fair use. Taking questions from the reporters, the lieutenant governor expressly challenged the governor, Greg Abbott, to put out a statement. He told him, Dan Patrick challenged his boss, Governor Greg Abbott. He said, I dare you to put out a statement, Governor Greg Abbott, saying that you don't want to legalize marijuana for adults in the state of Texas, because that's what you're doing by default, by not vetoing the bill, said Dan Patrick. You're doing this on purpose, quote unquote, said Dan Patrick in his speech. He also challenged the underlying legalized hemp, providing that states can take the steps to enact a more restrictive regulation. And he disputed that the governor's position that the law would ultimately be nullified in court due to litigation. Right? Quote unquote. That's what Dan Patrick was criticizing at his boss, Governor Greg Abbott. Imagine, right? Can you imagine that? Right? The little birdie criticizing the mama bird, the papa bird. That's what Dan Patrick's doing here. And he thinks that he could do that, right? So that's what he's doing right now, right? And he told his boss, he criticized in front of all the reporters and all the cameras, quote unquote, he told his boss, since when do we care who sues us when we pass a bill? Quote unquote. What federal law says is that we can ban it. The only thing that we can do is stop transportation through the state. You know, he actually mentions that one of the problems with this bill is about stopping transportation. But he didn't write an entire sentence. He's the lawyer, not me, said Dan Patrick, right? It says, you can't pass a bill to ban transportation through the state, quote unquote. Okay? What he said, quote unquote, fair use and allegedly was, what puzzles me was that the last time I talked to the governor in the Capitol in Austin before session, he said to me, quote unquote, don't worry about the bill, quote unquote. He said, quote, your bill is fine, quote. That's what he told me in front of the witnesses, Dan Patrick said, quote unquote. So what happened? Quote, quote, who convinced him? Meaning the staff on the outside, to kill SB 3, Senate Bill 3. Dan Patrick was asking the reporter, who convinced the governor of killing the bill? Right? Fair use, allegedly, right? In his veto message, Governor Greg Abbott did say that rather than outright ban consumable hemp products, lawmakers should establish a regulatory framework that treats cannabinoids similar to the way alcohol is regulated, which makes total sense. We've been saying this for years, right? For years. Next month, Governor Greg Abbott will have an extensive list of policy changes that he will support and endorse, right? Fair use, allegedly. Guys, get my likes up. Subscribe on that bell. Click that bell. Click on that thumbs up, right? Share the content, guys. Okay, so my commentary and my thoughts is that Dan Patrick sounds like a man who sounds defeated, allegedly, right? His boss is Governor Greg Abbott. And Governor Greg Abbott is a lot smarter than Dan Patrick. Okay? Greg Abbott is a great politician because he listened to his voter base. Okay? His assistant and quote-unquote friend should learn to listen to his boss and to listen to his voter base, because it was the Texan vote that got him to lieutenant governor, right? Allegedly in fair use. I would hope so, right? But who knows? Who knows in this crooked world of politics, right? Who knows? Allegedly. Who knows? It's just my opinion. It's just an opinion. And opinions are like buttholes. Okay? Everybody's got one. You know? Governor Abbott is a medical patient. Like a lot of Texans voters out there are also medical patients, right? He relates to his voter base, right? He understands, Governor Greg Abbott, the importance of good medicine and pain treatment, allegedly, right? So I'm proud of Governor Greg Abbott. I stand by Governor Greg Abbott in this decision, okay? I'm proud that he made that decision because it benefits the people of Texas, the Texans who voted for him, because they believe that he would be there for them, and he delivered when they needed it. Now, little jokey joke for Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, right? Some of them pre-rolls that he collected when he went through his raids in Austin, right? Those pre-rolls might come in handy right about now. Wink, 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 right? A tip for Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, with respect, again, Mr. Dan Patrick, Mr. Lieutenant Governor, listen to your boss, Greg Abbott, okay? He's your boss. Follow the chain of command. And he's right when he says that the same way we treat alcohol, we regulate alcohol, is the same way that we need to treat everything else, right? Allegedly. Dan Patrick, if you don't believe your boss, if you don't believe Greg Abbott, listen, it's easy. Just go to California. Just get a plane ticket. You got a lot of money. Just get a plane ticket. Go fly to California. Go talk to your fellow politicians out there and ask them what is it that they do to make it work for their state. Because obviously it's working over there, allegedly. So the same way it works over there is the same way it can work over here. Okay? Right? He knows. Abbott is a smart man. He knows that $5 billion can help the state. It can help the state. Okay? He knows. He's just not going to let $5 billion just walk out the door to another state, because that'd be working backwards. Okay? That'd be working backwards. So, I'm surprised that Dan Patrick wasn't fired by Greg Abbott. Okay? That he's still there giving this speech after all of that. Right? Allegedly. Right? Because personally, I think that Dan Patrick should be fired. Greg Abbott should fire Dan Patrick. And he should never hire him again. Allegedly in fair use. That's just my opinion. It's just my opinion, right? Just my opinion. I understand why Dan Patrick says he's not a lawyer, right? Greg Abbott is the lawyer. We can see. We can tell he's the better businessman. Dan Patrick is not a good businessman. Dan Patrick is not a good negotiator, okay? Dan Patrick does not deserve the Texan vote for re-election, okay? He deserves to get voted out. Matter of fact, in the next election, he should be voted out, right? Horrible businessman. He has no negotiating skills. He just rather give the money away to another state than to negotiate with his own voters, okay? And that says a lot about what type of politician is Dan Patrick. Allegedly in fair use, right? Right? These $5 billion would help the state build itself for a better future, allegedly. Expand different economic industries that would help Texans all over, throughout. And if there was a time that we would need proof that Dan Patrick is not here for the people, allegedly, this would be the time right now. In my opinion. Fair use and allegedly, right? But guys, the viewers out there, you guys, what you guys think and say is what matters the most. So guys, please let me know in the comment section below your thoughts about this subject. Your thoughts on the future of SB3. Your thoughts on the future of the hemp industry in the state of Texas. Did Governor Greg Abbott make a good decision? Or did Dan Patrick make a good decision? You guys let me know, okay? Get the likes up, share the content. Thank you for the love and the support. And till the next video, guys, I see you next time. Peace.